Now, that is a lot of money, and it would pay for a lot of campaign commercials or online advertising or staffers going door to door asking for votes. Or if you're Donald Trump, it pays for legal fees, lots of legal fees. Sources tell CNN that 50 million is how much the PACs supporting Trump have raised and then donated to the cause of keeping Trump out of jail. Now, mind you, this is all legal, but a spokesman for one of those PACs insists tonight to the New York Times that every dollar being raised by MAGA Inc. is going directly to defeating Joe Biden in November. But at least some of those dollars and cents are, as of this moment, being siphoned off for courtroom costs. It's part of the bargain if your preferred presidential candidates faced indictments and trials of all sorts. Now, right now, at any moment, a judge in New York is expected to reveal just how Trump will be punished for committing fraud. Will his empire in Gotham be completely shut down? And second, speaking of his businesses, will he be forced to pay nearly $400 million in that case? And nearly 90 million more for the E. Jean Carroll defamation verdict just this week. Now, third, we're awaiting an appeals court decision on Trump's argument that presidents deserve absolute immunity. Is he above the law? Fourth, will Fani Willis be the one to prosecute Trump in Georgia? She herself is under investigation for an alleged affair with one of her prosecutors. And finally, the Supreme Court justices are weighing whether Trump can be kicked off the ballot altogether over the 14th Amendment. And tonight, there's a group of former Republican governors who are bucking the trend of their party. They are arguing before the Supreme Court that Trump is, in fact, disqualified. Former Montana Governor Mark Roscoe joins me now. Mr. Roscoe, thank you so much for being here and for joining us tonight. Let's start with your reaction to what we were just laying out. Trump's PACs, we're now learning, using $50 million in donor funds to not pay for his actual campaign, but to pay for all of these legal bills. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a mess. And obviously, I wonder if the contributors who pour in all of these contributions in small dosages over the course of time are aware of the fact that it's going to provide defense to all of these different actions, paying lawyers and expert witnesses, and not going into efforts to try and make certain you communicate with the public and the people that you want to serve. So it's unfortunate, it's sad. In some respects, I think it's disgraceful.
How does this play, do you think, with Trump's base?
Well, it depends on how many of them really stop and think about it. You know, we've all been astonished, I think, over the course of the last several years about how it is that he gets away with what he gets away with. And the times that I have been involved in politics prior to the last 8 years or so, there was a code of conduct and focused upon a moral basis upon which you grounded your campaign. And there were certain rules of etiquette, and we tried to observe civility being provided to one another. At this moment in time, of course, he has lanced all those bubbles and pretty much they have dissipated because his behavior and his actions and his verbiage over the course of time has been cruel and sensitive, and at the end of the day has made us a coarser society. So that's what I think has happened, and I think we've got to regain the kind of values that are infused into the Constitution.
Meanwhile, Governor, you are also a former RNC chairman. The person that's currently in that role is Ronna McDaniel, and she's faced some backlash when last week, after just two primary and caucus contests, she came out and said Nikki Haley should just drop out of the primary race. She called on your party to coalesce around Donald Trump. What do you make of her doing that in her role as RNC chairwoman?
Totally inappropriate in my judgment. You're a neutral and detached magistrate when you're serving as RNC chair. You don't favor any of the candidates that are running in your party. It's a rule that obviously is not a part of the formal rules of the party. It shouldn't have to be. It's recognized as a measurement of loyalty to the process and to your party, all of those who are involved in your party, not a selective few. Another distortion, frankly, demanded and expected by the main candidate who's running for president, Donald Trump.
I want to talk about this legal brief that you and a group of other former Republican governors have signed on to. You're saying to the Supreme Court that Trump is, in fact, disqualified from running for office under the 14th Amendment. What makes you so concerned about a second Trump term?
Well, I'm not so concerned. There are all kinds of potential disasters that I can foresee, and they're planetary in some respects. How we behave in foreign affairs and what we do here at home, how we treat those who are the lowliest among us and those who are the most disenfranchised, all of these different topics that Trump, over the course of time, has provided a sense of disregard to and an inability to address on behalf of the nation. Those are all issues. What I'm really terribly concerned about is the violation of the Constitution here and the inclination to try to gloss over it. The fact of the matter is you don't have a right to be a candidate in America. You have a right to vote in America, but you don't have a right to be a candidate. And to be a candidate, you have to meet certain qualifications. They're set out by the Constitution. They focus upon birth, age, residence, and the 14th Amendment, Section 3 says you cannot have been an office holder, an oath, swearing your allegiance to the Constitution, and then thereafter engaged in an insurrection against the Constitution without being disqualified from ever being able to run again.
We're having some
And
technical
the language
difficulties
is
with the
plain.
governor here. That was former Governor Mark Roscoe of Montana. We'll have to finish this conversation with him again another time. Governor, I think you're back here for a second, but thank you for joining us tonight.